I am finally getting round to doing my musk series. So I'm starting with kind of the purest musks, and for me, what I describe as warm musks, so like, or golden musks, and often they are kind of in the realm of the Egyptian musks. So these are my absolute favourite, that's why I'm starting here. I have some that I absolutely adore. There's a few here that I don't really hear people talk about too much, but these are the ones that I think are quite warm. They make me feel kind of enveloped, and they do feel like golden musks to me. Now, I was born in 1982, so Jovan Musk kind of passed me by until I was much older. But this is a 70s classic. I think if you were born in the 70s, Jovan Musk is probably the one that you know best. It's obviously one of the most famous musks, so that's why I thought this would be a good place to start. So for me, Jovan Musk Oil is my favourite. It's very confusing with Jovan because I genuinely think, from my research online and trying to find notes, that the orange capped Jovan Musk for women has slightly different notes to the Jovan Musk Oil for women. And I think to like the average nose, they're going to probably smell, it's going to be a negligible difference, but I can kind of detect a couple of differences. So Jovan Musk in the oil form is absolutely beautiful. It's warm, it's cozy, it's sexy. It also does smell slightly vintage. So let's just have a little sniff of this one. There's something so magical about Jovan Musk. I think not only is it incredibly affordable to the point of arguably being cheap, but it also is warm, it's cozy, it's animalic, but not in a kind of indolic way. This is not a scent that I get a kind of pee smell, there's nothing fecal in it. But it's animalic in the way that I would sort of say is just sexy. It smells like a sexy grown woman, this one. And there is a magic in this oil. So I've had both the orange capped sprays, which are generally eau de cologne, I believe, and I have decluttered those in favour of the musk oil spray. So I love the oil. That's the winter one for me. It's strong, it's slightly soapy, it's warm and pretty, but also quite sexy. So this is the Musk Oil Eau de Toilette. They actually do this Musk Oil spray in an Eau de Parfum as well, but I've only seen it for sale in Europe, and it's a bit tricky to get to the UK, but if I ever get hold of it, I will review it. This Eau de Toilette is such a gorgeous but much more gentle version of Jovan Musk. So if I spray this one out, what I get in the top of this one, which I don't get in the oil or the cologne, is almost a juicy Jaffa orange kind of smell. Now, I think according to the notes, what's actually in this is peach. But to me, I just somehow, and definitely it comes out on my skin, the Musk Oil Eau de Toilette, there is some fruit going on here. There's definitely a juicy fruit in the top. It's not quite as sweet as the oil. It's not quite as animalic. It's definitely much lighter. And oddly enough, the orange capped eau de cologne is stronger than the Musk Oil Eau de Toilette. It's stronger, it lasts longer, but I also personally find it ever so slightly harsher, which is why I like this one the best. And I think the reason for that is I do believe that they actually have different notes. So when I've been looking these up, the notes that I've found for the orange top Jovan Musk for women, so the eau de cologne, is musk, jasmine, neroli and bergamot, with heart notes of spice and lavender, base notes sandalwood, tonka beans. Now, I think what I'm finding slightly harsh in there is the jasmine and neroli, and I do sometimes really struggle with neroli as being a little bit harsh and soapy. And although I would never, like, compared to other perfumes, ever describe Jovan Musk Eau de Cologne for women as soapy and harsh. I will talk about one in a bit that I do find soapy and harsh. It's still gorgeous, smooth and delicious. It's just that for some reason the Musk Oil Eau de Toilette is even softer, even smoother. Now, the notes that I've found for these gold-capped Musk Oil Eau de Toilettes are top notes of aniseed, bergamot and peach, heart notes of cocoa butter, lavender and ylang ylang, base notes of musk, patchouli, vetiver and vanilla. So if these are correct, and obviously online it's really hard to tell, you can't really find much information about Jovan, or, you know, it's really difficult sometimes to find these things. But if we are to be believing those notes, then I think it's the ylang is more my kind of floral, and I think that might be why I like this one better. The peach, just like I said, comes across as orangey to me, and it's just gorgeous. They're really ridiculously affordable. They smell incredible. They're just magic. The musk oil is definitely, I think, the sweetest of all of them. But I would say it's an excellent layering option to have the musk oil and then have either the cologne or the eau de toilette of the musk oil, or even probably the eau de parfum, any of the Jovan Musk for women to just spray over the top. And then I think you will just smell like this all day. The one thing I will say about this is be careful when you layer it, because I think it's probably supposed to be a bit soft. So it's supposed to smell like sexy skin. So it's not necessarily, I don't think, supposed to project in an insane way. It's supposed to create a nice, small, soft bubble around you. If you layer this one up, if you put lots of layers of most musks, actually, like really proper musk perfumes, they can be incredibly overwhelming for both you and everyone else around you. So I'd be careful with that. I have on occasion oversprayed some of the Jovan Musks, or I've just thought I'm going to top that up, and then it has become unbearably strong. So, I mean, if you like unbearably strong perfumes, then that, you'll be fine. But if you like something a bit more subtle, you can spray lots, but I'd say maybe try not to spray them all in the same place. That's what I'd say. So I've got one more Jovan to talk about, which unfortunately is a bit harder to find, but I highly recommend it. I think it's gorgeous. And that is, oh yeah. So this is Jovan Gold Musk for women. Now, this one, if I just straighten up a bit, so you can actually get this bad boy in. This is, to me, like a slightly, I think this one might be even a bit stronger than some of the other sprays. Slightly more, modern smelling version of Jovan Musk. You can still get the same kind of vibe. This one, in a way, smells a bit more like a perfume, but it's still got that warm, cosy, golden musk smell. Oh, this one is a real beaut. So, the notes in Jovan Gold Musk are top notes of liquor, red currant, passion fruit and pink pepper. The middle notes are star anise, vanilla orchid, red rose. The base notes are musk, sandalwood and amber. So, this is surprisingly sweet, and I think that must be down to the vanilla orchid, although I would not at all be surprised if the notes genuinely include actual vanilla. The liquor isn't too boozy. It's like a kind of gentle, fruity, it just gives it a slight richness. And I'd say the oil version of the original Jovan Musk does have a lovely richness to it, because it's an oil, but this has a tanginess to it. It's got a slightly more sharpness, but it's also got a real sweetness. It's got like a combination of those two things. And the star anise is magical here. It's not overly spicy, it just gives it this lovely, fragrant kind of background. There's a lot of musk. There's a lovely tangy, I mean, because it's red currant and passion fruit, right, it's tangy. So it's more fruity. The sandalwood's gorgeous. The amber's not overwhelming. But the liquor just gives this a modern, rich, kind of luxurious vibe, you know? And I think I probably get more red rose in this than vanilla orchid. And it's just beautiful. If you can get your hands on this one, I really do think that it's a bit magical, you know? Yeah, there's something special about this one. I really, really like this around the house when it's a bit chilly and I just want to be cuddling up or, you know, just cozy. If I'm watching a movie or something, big blanket. It's that kind of feel to me. Oh, it's so pretty. So I highly recommend this one. In the UK, you can get this one, I think, actually quite easily now. And I think this one probably only cost me about £15. And this is one of their, what is this? I think this is a really odd number. Yeah, 59 mils. So just under 60 mils for some reason. But it's a beautiful, beautiful perfume. Really, really worth looking for. And if you can get it, I think you'll love it, especially if you like the original Jovan Musk. So let's talk about my favourite musk in the world next. This is by far my favourite. In fact, I would go as far as to say that Skin Musk by Parfums de Coeur is my absolute favourite perfume of all time. Now, I have a little video about this from when I first started my channel. Oh, holy moly. So, I've got both the cologne spray and the perfume oil, and generally speaking, I would always advise to get the perfume oil because this on me lasts forever. This on me and on clothes lasts for maybe half an hour. And although they are incredibly kind of similar, this one's slightly sweeter, more powdery there, and I get more rose from this one. Yeah, I get like, and my husband described it as smelling like Turkish Delight, and I kind of see what he means. It's almost got a icing sugar, a kind of powdered sugar sweetness to it. Whereas on me, anyway, the Skin Musk perfume oil has a very sort of vanillic sweetness, and it's noticeably to me vanilla. They don't list vanilla, which seems mad to me. Oh, there is a magic to this. The oil is also definitely soapier. But as I said, it's so much stronger. So this one, I would not describe as a sexy musk, even though it makes me feel sexy because it is so comfortable to wear. I absolutely adore Skin Musk. So my journey with Skin Musk is that when I was probably about 11 years old, I went to my friend's house and her mother had given her a little oil, a bottle of oil, perfume oil. It had been decanted into this really pretty little dabber bottle. And she let me put on a little bit and I just was obsessed. I lost my mind. I was like, that is one of the most delicious things I've ever smelt. She didn't know what it was. Her mum couldn't remember what it was. And so I, for years, didn't really know what that was. I did find something when I was around about 13 that smells similar, and I will talk about that one next. But it wasn't this. It wasn't quite this. It's the closest and the most similar musk, but this one was lost to me for many years until, you know, I mean, like I said, I was born in 82, so the internet wasn't a big thing, and shopping on the internet certainly wasn't a massive thing when I was younger. But then, in my 30s, I was doing more and more research. I kept reading about stuff, and I would see comparisons to the other perfume I'm going to talk about and Skin Musk, and I was like, right, I'm going to find this perfume. It's not readily available in the UK, but you can get it quite cheaply shipped over from the UK, from the USA, from Fragrance X. So I ordered the spray and I ordered the oil, and it arrived, and it is the smell that I remember from being 11 years old. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. And that sounds insane, but honestly, that, you know, fragrances are so evocative that they can take you back to like being in your friend's house with dogs running around everywhere and her dad baking like the nicest bread you've ever had, and remember this smell, you know? It's almost like the equivalent of like the smell of a baby's head or something. It, not because it smells like, it doesn't smell like baby oil, it doesn't smell like baby powder, but it smells like the cleanest, purest, most beautiful human skin. Like, and that might sound a bit mad, but I do really think it is just like, if you could choose how you just smelt naturally, for me, it would be Skin Musk. This is the one for me. I keep a rollerball of it next to my bed. Often I have put this on before I go to bed, and then I've woken up in the morning and I can still smell it when I'm showering. Sometimes I can still smell it after my shower, and I will then not be able to wear anything else. Not because I couldn't put anything over the top of it, you definitely could, but because I am so obsessed with this smell that once I really start smelling it, I just want to smell like this. And it is truly the only musk, or the only perfume, in fact. If I had to only keep one perfume as my signature, it would be this. It would be this. I have backups of the oil because I love it that much. They only list musk, sandalwood and floral notes for this particular perfume. But as I said, I'm pretty sure there's some vanilla in it. I'm absolutely sure there's rose in it. I think there's probably a tiny bit of jasmine and probably some ylang ylang, because there is a kind of beautiful creaminess to this. I'm not sure I'd go as far as to say it's banana-y, but there's definitely, I mean, whatever the flowers are, it's perfect. It is perfection. I love it with a passion. It will be in my collection forever. It's my highest recommendation for a musk. So let's talk about the one that I found when I was about 13, and this is the one that I used to wear when I was 13, 14. So this is Coty Wild Musk. This is the current box you can get. This is a cologne spray, 44ml. And I won't lie, this current incarnation of Coty Wild Musk is an absolute travesty. It is... I mean, I have sprayed this a number of times. I cannot even smell it from the sprayer. It is weak sauce. So I never saw in the UK Coty Wild Musk in a bottle that looked like this. So when I was young in the UK, and I don't know if this was ever the same in the US or whether they had completely different bottles, but Coty Wild Musk when I was young came in a black kind of almost bullet-shaped bottle. It had a kind of smooth, curved lid, and it was kind of slightly oval looking from the front, but then kind of thin from the side and flat from the side. And it was, I just thought I was the bee's knees. I genuinely thought that I was super sexy, even though I was like a kid. I had my first boyfriend when I was 13 at like, you know, when we were up at comprehensive school, and he always thought I smelled amazing in it. He'd always compliment me on it, and I just loved the smell. Now this definitely has a kind of general vibe of smelling a little bit like Skin Musk. I think they have a kind of crossover. I think you can kind of get a sense from one to the other. But Wild Musk is way sexier. It's more animalic, but again, not hugely in any kind of way that's too indolic. But what I will say is this. This is not worth buying anymore. This version. It's rubbish. You spray it out, you get literally the ghost of what Wild Musk smelt like, and then it's gone. And it's too expensive for how crap it is nowadays. So I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm very lucky to have a vintage bottle of... Oh, there you go. There it is. Oh, it is stunning. So if you can get hold of a vintage bottle of this, then that's what I would suggest if you specifically want Wild Musk. I also have an alternative I'll talk about in a minute, but Wild Musk, old school, has notes of musk, vanilla, rose and jasmine, apparently. I'm sure there's more than that. This definitely, when I first spray this one, I will have a very short period of time where I do get a very slight pea smell, but it goes away really quickly. I get that with quite a lot of vintage perfumes, older perfumes, musky perfumes. They just have a slight animalic vibe. If it goes too far in that direction, I won't be able to wear it, I won't enjoy it, but this has all the qualities that I like about skin musk. It's ever so slightly soapy. It feels like a beautiful, clean, musky skin, but there's just something in this that is hyper sexy. It just has something about the musk in this one that makes it feel very sexy. But literally, as soon as I put it on, I feel like an absolute sexy goddess, like instantly. Of course, finding Wild Musk is not easy to get in a vintage bottle. It's also can be quite expensive to try and get a vintage bottle of this. So I have an alternative, and it is this one. So this is Exclamation Wild Musk. Now, I used to have the regular Exclamation when I was also around about 12, 13, that kind of age, the one in the white bottle. I never really loved it. Just everyone at all the girls at my school had that perfume. I found it to be a bit too peachy. I'm not crazy for peach, generally speaking. And I was a bit worried when I ordered this one that this was going to also be like Wild Musk with peach. It's not. I'm going to spray this one out because I do really like this one. And I actually think... And I mean, obviously, I suggest Skin Musk if you want the vibe of Wild Musk, and you don't mind that it's not quite as sexy. But if you want something that has the sexy vibe, then this is your gal. So I also kind of like this bottle. Again, it might just purely be nostalgia because I always thought that the Exclamation bottles, even though they're tacky, I kind of enjoy the kitschness, but... So, this does smell like a fruity version of Wild Musk. It retains the kind of spirit of the Wild Musk perfume while just adding in a little bit more fruit. So, in this particular one, it surprisingly doesn't list peach, which I was expecting it definitely because it's an Exclamation version of Wild Musk. I thought there'd be peach in it. There's no peach. So... This one has orange, mandarin orange and bergamot in the top. The middle notes floral notes. Base is musk, sandalwood and vanilla. And it has that sexy spirit of Wild Musk. This one definitely has that slight pea-like smell that you get with the kind of animalics when you first spray it. And again, it does not last on me. That goes away super quickly and then it dries down and it's absolutely scrumptious. Not the longest lasting, sadly, but much better than the actual Wild Musk. It's much, much better. So this is one I'd go for because this is actually an eau de toilette. And I think this was from Amazon and it cost me £15 for 100ml. And I've worn it to work. I did actually chuck it in my bag, take it with me. Also, you know, this is pretty sturdy. It's not going to get scratched up or too damaged or anything. It's actually quite heavy. I also felt sexy in this. I think this is a really good one to replace Wild Musk. I think it's a tragedy that Coty have absolutely butchered Wild Musk. And generally, I do not like to try and get discontinued perfumes. I don't not like to try and find vintage formulations. What I like to do is try and find either a good alternative or, you know, something that's in the general family. This one, luckily, it really is in the general family. And I don't think the fruitiness here takes anything away from the kind of Wild Musk. It just makes it a bit brighter, a bit fresher. but it's a really good option. So if you've been interested in knowing what wild musk smells like, then this is definitely the one to go for, I'd say. Okay, so next up, let's talk about one that was suggested a few times in other videos of mine, that this is one that people really like. So I got this on eBay because this is a more expensive one. I didn't really want to take a chance. I couldn't smell it anywhere, and I don't know if it's discontinued, but I thought I'd talk about it anyway. I do like the bottle. This is Kiehl's Original Musk Blend Number 1. I think this is the only perfume that Kiehl's do, Eau de Toilette. Cute. Yeah, I like this bottle. So I was really looking forward to smelling this one. I've seen it compared to a few different things, but this I think is supposed to be unisex. And I'm going to give you the notes to this. So this is orange blossom and bergamot in the top, middle notes of ylang ylang, neroli, lily and rose, base notes musk, tonka bean and patchouli. I don't like this musk. It's tartar, sharper. It doesn't have the same warm sweetness that I like, and I find it to have too many kind of sharp white florals going on here. The bergamot's quite high in the mix, and I can definitely smell the patchouli. So this one though is the kind of, I think out of all of these, it's the crispest. It's the kind of it's really hard to describe what I'm trying to say, but there is no soft fluffiness going on here, and there's no powderiness going on here. It smells quite perfumey to me, and in a way possibly almost like it's got a kind of white wine note in it or something. It has, I get that sometimes with white florals, that I think they come across as smelling like, if they've got especially bergamot mixed in, almost smelling like a dry white wine, and this smells like a musky dry white wine to me. Yeah, there's just something about this that I can't get on with. I do wonder if I think if it might be nicer on a man, in like to my nose, but I don't particularly like it on paper, and I really don't like it on my skin. So I have tried with this one. I know loads of people love this one. It is, you know what it is? It's closer to the kind of musk that you get in Lovely by Sarah Jessica Parker, the original. Now that one definitely is, it's got patchouli and wood. It's definitely got something in there that I do get that kind of sharp white wine smell about, slightly acidic. That one's got I think it's, is it a margarita? It's got it anyway. It's got a cocktail in there. I think it might be a margarita. I can't remember. And Lovely just doesn't work for me. It's definitely better in summer to my nose, but it just doesn't work very well with my skin. I absolutely adore Sarah Jessica Parker's perfumes. The only perfumes from her that I actively dislike are the original Lovely and Lovely Sheer. I really, really, even if I can't wear them, I like the smell of all of her others, and I can actually wear all of them other than Covet Pure Bloom, because that one goes too shampooey on me. But everything else, I love her perfumes. Lovely, not so much. But this is in the realm of Lovely. And therefore also the kind of Narciso Rodriguez for her, those perfumes. It's that kind of musk. And it's not fluffy or creamy or powdery enough for my liking. It's just too much of that kind of tart acidicness without enough sweetness. And just too much patchouli for my liking. But I understand why people like it, in that I understand why people like Lovely as well. It's just not for me. But yeah, cute bottle. I will be passing this one on. I'll just chuck it up on eBay because I think this is really hard to come by. So I don't want to deprive anyone else of that one. Speaking of my absolute favourite celebrity perfumer, I mean, not that she makes them herself, but you know what I mean. This is Lovely You by Sarah Jessica Parker. Now we're going back to the warm, golden smelling powdery, baby powder specifically, kind of musky perfume. So this one is definitely in the realm of Jovan Musk, the original, the classic. It has a very similar feel to that, but with an added dose of baby powder. Now, this is a perfume that I think is lovely. The reason I don't have a bottle of it, though, is because I found the projection and the lasting power not very good. However, what this is really nice for is wearing to bed, or wearing in the evening, or just when you're straight out of a bath. If you don't need your perfume to last too long, but you want to smell a bit cozy. It's not overly sweet, but it does remind me, it's almost like a kind of mashup of a Jovan Musk, probably the cologne, the orange cap. So like the Jovan Musk and something like Demeter baby powder. It's almost like they've come together. It's like a grown-up baby powder kind of smell. The notes in it are water lily, plum blossom, freesia in the top. The middle notes are orange blossom, jasmine, pink peony. Base notes are musk, benzoin and vanilla orchid. It's not overly sweet. The benzoin, I think, is one of the things that makes sure that this one's got a nice warmth to it. It's super pretty, really nice. But yeah, this is just one that I kind of keep for around the house because it's not really powerful enough on me, to wear out of the house, because I did that once and I just couldn't. Either I go anosmic to it or it just doesn't last on my skin. I don't know that everyone has that, obviously. Perfumes are different on everyone, but it's beautiful. It's a really nice one. I do recommend it because you can get it for just so cheap that its lasting power doesn't bother me that much, you know, but I didn't feel like I needed a full bottle because I have Demeter baby powder and I have Jovan Musk. So let's talk about something else that I had seen on Fragrantica, and I kept seeing it on a European site that I often buy perfumes from, which is makeup.uk. I think that they have a site that's called makeup.com that you can get to ship to the US as well. So this is Gosh Musk Oil number 6. Original musk. This is perfume oil. I think you can get the spray as well. So this is a little 10ml bottle. The back of this says, is it in English at all? Yes, an intense, sensual and seductive fragrance that's been used for thousands of years. So this is a pretty perfume. Oh yeah, okay. I'm going to just try and get some of this on a bit of paper without spilling the oil everywhere. It doesn't seem to come with a dabber. It looks like it's got a little thing on it so you could have a dabber, but it doesn't seem to actually come with one, which is strange. So this is the tiny little bottle. Let me just make sure that's in focus. Very cute. Now, this one is super soapy, but it's also really pretty and fruity. Now, this doesn't smell exactly like, but it kind of reminds me a tiny bit of Chanel number 5 Le Eau. Now, that one I think is a much cooler musk than this. This is warmer, more golden, but it has the same citrusy zing, but the same creamy and slightly banana-y ylang that I get in Le Eau. So this has aldehydes for days. The top notes here are bergamot and ylang. You definitely get them straight away, and it's almost a kind of sherbety, creamy, banana-y floral. An absolute beaut. Middle notes are musk, aldehydes, orris root and jasmine. The base notes are white musk and sandalwood. So although this one has white musk, and I do struggle with white musk sometimes, I often find it far too shampooey and sometimes a bit too cold. Whereas here, the combination that's going on here makes it very soapy, but very much in a kind of classic, old school bubble bath kind of smell, rather than super harsh shampoo. It's soapy in the, and again, probably why it's reminding me of the Chanel's. It's hardcore, old school aldehydes. And I do like an aldehyde. But the musk is so pretty. It has a beautiful warmth from that lovely sandalwood. And I think ylang and bergamot are the main kind of other scents going on here. I don't get a massive amount of the orris root, really. It's not particularly irisy. There's definitely a bit of jasmine, but not a huge amount. It's definitely that slightly tropical, beautiful ylang ylang. And a good dose of that tangy bergamot. It's such a nice scent. I'm quite tempted at some point to get the spray of this one as well, just, you know, because it's obviously easy to just chuck a spray in your bag. But I dig this one. I think it's a really good option. If you like Jovan Musk, you're probably really going to like this one. It's a really, really pretty fragrance, and again, super affordable. I think this probably cost me less than £10. I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world in terms of price, but highly recommend Musk Oil number 6. Now let's talk about one that I'm not quite so keen on. So this is Avon Soft Musk, and this is one that gets compared to quite a lot of perfumes that I quite enjoy, and it also I think this one's been recommended to me. This is the EDT, and it's I think again this was maybe £10. It's 50ml, so very, very affordable. But this one, weirdly, I find a bit harsh and soapy in a way that I don't like, and I do wonder if that's because it kind of starts to lean shampooey. Let's have a little sniff. So this one's quite floral to me. Yes. I think this one I find a bit harsh and shampooey. It's making my nose tingle in a way that the others haven't. And there is a sharpness going on here that I'm not enjoying. So I know loads of other people love this though, so again, this is a personal thing to me, but if you know my taste and if you have similar tastes, this one might not be the best option. So this has a real baby powdery vibe going on. It definitely, especially when I first spray it, has a rather nice rose. And the rose, I think, starts off smelling in the same way that I get in Skin Musk, but in a much sharper way. A little bit of a Turkish Delight kind of smell to the rose. But the more this dries down, the more I get a jasmine coming through, which I find head-splitting. So, I mean, I really struggle, to be honest, with the Avon DNA generally, especially in their modern perfumes. But this one I just find shampooey and harsh. So I can really have issues with jasmine. If it's not soft, if it's spiky in any way, if it's pushing towards that kind of lily of the valley, old school white floral, I really struggle. And in here I find that the jasmine is very screechy. But the soapiness of it before it kind of turns to shampoo was kind of nice. As I said, when you first spray it, you get a lot of a kind of baby powdery kind of smell. And the notes here are just musk, rose, vanilla, jasmine, and spices. So I don't find it massively spicy. There's definitely not much vanilla in here. I would kind of organise this as musk first, followed by a massive amount of jasmine, a bit of rose, a bit of spice, and then a very small amount of vanilla. So this one, I really thought I would like it. I thought I'd be into it. When I first sprayed it, I thought, oh, nice. And then it just was a disaster on paper and on my skin. It's just not one that I can get on with, sadly. It's a shame, but I will be able to pass it on because I know there's loads of people who love that. So I will probably end up just doing a little bundle of some musks that I have that I can't get on with. But this one, too shampooey and too much screechy jasmine for me. Let's finish off with a new favourite. This is beautiful. Now, I don't know how easy this will be to get outside of the UK because this is a London company. This is by a company called Mayfair Perfumes London. They make some perfumes called, there's one called Pagan, there's one called Tramp, and I've not been lucky enough to smell those. I think they're very much kind of old school, like Opium and Chanel, you know, those kind of old school scents. This one though, wow. This is called Just Musk. Let's get this tall bottle in. So, Mayfair Just Musk, which I believe used to come in a much prettier bottle than this, but I'm not going to complain. This is a cologne spray, but it's definitely at first it's quite strong, and then it becomes more of a kind of a soft, musky skin scent. 100ml, this cost me maybe £10. This is a heavenly, cosy, golden warm musk. It is delicious. And when I first sprayed it, I was not sure that like it was special enough to keep in my collection when I already have, you know, I've got wild musk, I've got skin musk, I've got a couple of different types of Jovan musk. I'm probably keeping the musk oil number 6 as well. So I was like, I don't know if I need to keep this. I do really like it. It's quite sweet and pretty and delicious, but I'm not sure if I need it. I gave it a full wear test and I was head over heels. It's just fabulous. It's one of the coziest in my collection because I don't even really know how to explain why it's so cozy. I feel like there's a lot of sandalwood in this. And it's got a beautiful sweetness that's unexplained by the notes. So it says coriander, bergamot and lily of the valley in the top, middle notes of rose, iris and jasmine, and base notes of musk, sandalwood and cedar. It's, I mean, let's just think about, yeah, iris and rose. The jasmine here is not screechy. It's soft, it's gentle. And I'm not getting much lily of the valley, it has to be said. I'm not getting much bergamot. The coriander, I'm not sure I would have guessed it was coriander, but there is a warm spice here, but very kind of soft. The musk is delicious in this. Delicious. Heavenly. The sandalwood is beautiful. I'd say it's much more sandalwood than cedar. And there is, I would guess that there's probably both vanilla and tonka bean in here. It is giving me that vibe that I love in a lot of perfumes, which is a combination of those two really sweet notes that doesn't veer too much into just smelling like vanilla. It's just this creamy sweetness that's so fabulous. This one, honestly, I put it on in the morning and I thought I might change later on in the day, but I just continued to reapply this rather than putting anything else on at the weekend because I absolutely loved it. I could smell it on me when I went to bed and I loved it then. I think this is going to become one of those kind of slightly addictive perfumes. It's kind of softer and fluffier than Jovan, and it's not sexy like wild musk, but it doesn't smell quite as baby-like and soft as skin musk. It's not as soapy as some of these others, but it's equally as warm and tasty. It is just a kind of magic. So if you can get this and you love a warm golden musk, this is one of my highest recommendations. I think it's exceptionally good value. Lasting wise, again, it became a skin scent quite soon, but I reckon like I could smell this on me for at least 4 to 6 hours, and I think that it's really easy to like overspray this without it becoming too sickly. I don't think it has the same kind of musk as Jovan where it becomes a bit overpowering if you spray quite a lot on, but it's beautiful, fabulous on clothes, fabulous on skin. I was so happy when I wore this because it's just so unbelievably bargainous. Like, it's such a good price for such a big bottle. So yeah, I hope that you can find this outside of the UK. because it's definitely worth getting your hands on if you see it anywhere. And with that, I will end my warm golden musk video. The next one I'm going to do is going to be the kind of cool musks, the white musks, the stuff that I just always describe as feeling cold compared to these that always make me feel cozy and warm. So they'll be slightly fresher, and you'll probably be able to tell because honestly a lot of the bottles suggest that they're going to be a colder musk, and a lot of these bottles suggest they're going to be warm. So yeah, that is me done. I hope that this was helpful to anyone who's been looking for some classic musks, anything that's kind of pushing a little bit more towards the Egyptian musk side of things and not so much towards white musk. Let me know if there's anything that you love down in the comments. If you have any of these, let me know how you get on with them. And thank you very much for watching. If you're not already following Ruth Ann McKinnon, go and check her out. She is an absolute queen of musks. She obviously has a different nose, different skin chemistry to me, so she probably smells things quite differently, but she is fabulous if you're interested in musks. Bye guys.